Hi there, I'm Sonal Mehrotra and this is 5 Live. Over the next 1 hour, we will be bringing you stories. It will be our endeavor to bring you stories, 5 stories that demand your time, 5 stories that should ignite you, and 5 stories to inspire your healthiest, happiest life. So stop scrolling and let's get started. On the show today, we start with the latest on flooding in our urban centers. Monsoon brings in the same old issues, no lessons learned. While Mumbai is sinking, Delhi and Yamuna has crossed the danger mark. Also coming up on the program, we meet a young artist who has a message through potholes. He's turning cracks on the road into his canvas. The doodlnath art inspired from potholes. In our health focus of the day, we talk about one question that is on everybody's mind. Am I that fat that I need to use weight loss drugs? An explainer to simplify all your queries surrounding the weight loss drugs. And talking about health, from the wealthiest in the country to the most powerful, Jaan hai to jahan hai. These VIPs leave you inspired with what they are doing about their health. And then finally on the program, we bring you the secret behind Putin's poop. You heard that right. We'll take you through all of that. Now, every monsoon, let's start with the first story there. Mumbai drowns, roads turn into rivers. Homes get inundated and the city comes to a standstill. Today is no different. Yet again, heavy rains have left thousands stranded. Trains have been delayed and traffic has been paralyzed. What's worse is that this isn't a one-off crisis. It's an annual nightmare. Year after year, promises are made, committees are formed, funds are announced, but on the ground, little changes.
Mumbai, battered, drenched, and brought to a grinding halt. For the third day in a row, the city woke up under a deluge. And this time, the warning was loud and clear. A red alert from the Met Department.
Right now, I am at Dadar Chowpatty, and here we can see how the whole skyline of the city, along with Worli Bandra Sea Link, has disappeared into the clouds, and BMC has also issued, and IMD has also issued a red alert to Mumbai and the adjoining MMR region.
Waterlogged streets turned commutes into chaos. Trains crawled, roads choked. From Sion to the Andheri subway, the city's arteries were submerged.
We are right now in the Eastern Express Highway at Sion specifically, where you can see because of heavy inundation in this area, in spite of the best efforts put in by the BMC to put in generators and pumps to ensure that the water that collects here is thrown out. But however, in spite of the best efforts, this entire place seems inundated. The traffic is chock-a-block because of this one particular patch.
Heavy rainfall is being reported in Mumbai city since Monday morning. A red alert has been issued by the IMD. This is the low-lying area of Andheri subway where you can see some water logging and hence the traffic has been shut.
Civic body BMC responded by declaring a school holiday, while police urged Mumbaikars to stay indoors and stay alert.
इस वक्त हम मुंबई के वीरा देसाई रोड पर हैं। मुंबई में सुबह से भारी बारिश हो रही है, जिसका असर वीरा देसाई रोड पर देखा गया वाटर लॉगिंग होते हुए। अब यहाँ पर आप देखेंगे कि गाड़ी जो है ये इस रोड से पानी जो भरा हुआ रोड से गुजरने की कोशिश कर रही थी और बंद पड़ गई है। एक हाइड्रोलिक टोइंग मशीन लाकर इस गाड़ी को यहाँ से लिफ्ट किया जा रहा है ताकि जो ट्रैफिक है वो फिर से इस रोड पर शुरू किया जा सके।
A school bus carrying 6 children and staff got trapped in knee-deep water near Sion. Swift action by Matunga police turned panic into relief. Not just roads, air traffic was also hit. Flight delays mounted at Mumbai's international airport, with passengers told to keep a close eye on airline updates. The calendar changes, the headlines don't. Monsoon returns and Mumbai once again is left wading through the chaos. Nothing seems to change as each year the rain pain continues. With Vidya, Ritvik Bhalekar and Mustafa Sheikh in Mumbai, Bureau Report, India Today.
So that's what's happened so far. Let's quickly tell you 5 things to know about what's really happening in Mumbai. At the moment, heavy rain has triggered massive jam in the entire city. 9 flights have been forced to be aborted landing at the Mumbai airport over there. High tide alert has been issued. This might disrupt evening trains again. Remember, morning trains were also disrupted. And red alert has been issued till Tuesday. And schools and colleges will remain shut. In fact, Chief Minister Fadnavis has also ordered early closure of offices today. Could be revised for tomorrow as well. We'll keep you posted on all of that. So that's everything you need to know. Let's quickly get in a live update now. Ritvik, my colleague, and Mustafa both join us from Mumbai. Let's cut across to Ritvik first. He joins us from Worli. Ritvik, the baffling part about this time around flooding is that one would never expect it in Worli. One is seen or very used to seeing visuals like these emerge from Sion, emerge from other parts of the city, but never in places like Prabha Devi, Worli, etc. So what's happened? What changed this time?
It's been the incessant rainfall which has disrupted the whole city as usual, I must say, because even Mumbaikar are now getting used to such a mayhem. Since yesterday night, heavy rainfall has lashed out the city, and be it the middle part of the city, that is center point of the city, be it Wadala, be it Worli, be it Matunga, or be it Prabhadevi, we can see several places where generally water logging is not witnessed, but this rainfall has submerged even those areas which are considered to be the posh and sobo areas of Mumbai. So this is Wadala. I am right in front of Wadala station, where you can see even BST buses, the public transport buses have been submerged, and they're struggling their way out of this waterlogged road. Even the bikers, the taxi drivers, vehicle drivers, we can see how they are struggling to find their way out. The BMC workers, BMC officials have been consistently trying to, get rid of this water by opening the storm water drainage lids, but all efforts in vain, because incessant rainfall is just not seen to cease. It is not stopping, and even at 6:35 p.m. today, high tide is been told, and so this high tide, if it continues to rain like this, it will multiply the problems of Mumbaikars.
All right. So, though currently it seems like it's only drizzling, you're saying by 6:30 another high tide and things could get much worse. That means people returning from office, you've got to watch out for where you're really going and how you're getting back home. Thanks, Ritik, for that. Mustafa is also with us. Mustafa, take us through where exactly you are at the moment. And if you were to tell us predictions on how it's expected to be in the hours and days to come.
Well, we are at Veera Desai Road in Andheri West, and since morning there is waterlogging in this area. You can see behind me both sides of the roads had been flooded with water. There are housing societies on this road where the water has entered. At the same time, the traffic has been stopped in this road. On the other side, you will see that the Mumbai traffic policemen present. They are trying to basically make sure that there are no cars or bikes being break down, which blocks the road entirely. The traffic has been diverted, and because the IMD has predicted that even tomorrow, which is Tuesday, heavy rain spell is expected in Mumbai and other parts. Hence, the residents of Mumbai have been advised to not venture out unless it's an emergency or something of importance, because even today, when in the morning the orange alert was changed to red alert, the school students had already gone to the school, and later we saw that many school buses were coming in the waterlogged areas. Some conking off, and then the students had to be rescued by the Mumbai police. So clearly planning and also keeping an eye on the weather updates is most important at this point for Mumbaikars, because this is one of the main roads in Mumbai, the Veera Desai road, and we are seeing that new flooding spots are being coming up in Mumbai due to a lot of metro work and road construction which has taken place. Places in town like Kolaba, Marine Drive are also places where you can predict waterlogging if there is heavy rainfall in that area. Andheri West, for example, has witnessed strong rainfall and heavy rainfall since morning, and you can see the effect of it, that both sides of the roads are now waterlogged in on the Veera Desai road, and this is also impacting the evening traffic of office goers who are returning back to their homes. Back to you.
All right, thanks so much for that. So clearly it doesn't matter which part of Mumbai you're living in. This is maximum city with maximum floods and clearly turning into a sink city, Mumbai. It's a continuous campaign for us right here on India Today. But it's not just Mumbai, remember. Let's take a look at the situation in Delhi as well, where the Yamuna has breached the danger mark. Let's tell you first the top 5 things to know about this story at the moment. Water level in Yamuna briefly breached the danger mark of 206 meters earlier in the day. Flood warnings have been issued in multiple districts of Delhi, Haryana and UP. Irrigation and Water Resources Department also announced a medium in flood scenario in the area. Also, gates of dams in Wazirabad, Yamunanagar, that happens in Haryana, they have been opened to tackle the situation, and over 1.72 lakh cusecs of water has been released from Yamuna. In fact, is being released every hour. The situation still being watched very, very closely. My colleague Anmol Bali is with us from Delhi. Anmol, could you take us through what exactly is the mark at the moment and what are the predictions saying? Are we expecting more rain in the days to come? And then, if so, what are the preparations that one should keep in mind? As a citizen, what is it that we should be doing?
Sonal, as you know, because of heavy rains on the mountains and still in the Himalayan region, lakhs of cubic water has been released from Haryana's Hatnikund Barrage and Wazirabad Barrage towards the national capital, which has increased the water level of the Yamuna, which has reached at 205.48, which has breached the danger mark. Currently, I am here at the old railway bridge here at the Yamuna bank, where I'll show you the current condition of Yamuna, which is heavily flowing here and where the water level has breached the danger mark, and the administration is keeping a keen eye on the developments. According to officials from the Irrigation and Flood Control Department, field teams have been instructed to monitor embankment closely. Agencies such as Municipal Corporation of Delhi, Delhi Jal Board are on high alert, and various other civic agencies have advised people living in the low-lying area to evacuate, because according to Central Water Commission and various other agencies, that water level in the Yamuna could reach to 206, means evacuation mark. In morning I was here, I was reporting from here about the Yamuna's water level, and I was standing there, Sonal, near that makeshift boat. From here you can understand how water is increasing here in the Yamuna, because in 2023 also we have seen horrible visuals that how Yamuna became one of the reason of flooding in the national capital, which capital has never seen in the last many decades. The water entered into the residential areas, to the posh areas of Lutyens, to the other areas of the Yamuna bank. And now administration is being vigilant. They have formed various of teams and they have advised people to be careful, those who are living on the banks of River Yamuna.
Right. So far the advisory is just to be careful. There is no evacuation happening just yet, and the government keeping a close watch. We'll, of course, be keeping you updated with this story. You can also log in to indiatoday.com to get the latest on that. But talking about monsoons, let's give you a different side of the story altogether. Monsoon and potholes, they go hand in hand. We've seen them, we've dodged them, we've suffered them and battled them in certain cases. But for a young artist sitting in the outskirts of Kolkata, these very potholes aren't just daily struggles, they are inspiration. He's turning these pothole chaos into unexpected work of art. You're seeing some of his work there on your screen right now. Would you imagine all of this doodling happened out of some pothole woes that our artist was facing himself? Who are we talking about? Let's bring him on the program. Ankur Debnath, also known as Doodlnath. Hi there, Ankur. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. How are you?
You sound great because perhaps you're sitting in the comfort of your home and not out on the street just yet. But as we see and go through these really fun images, I'm sure there's some painful story behind that. Take us through what inspired you, first of all, to start doodling on potholes.
See, actually, as an artist, we always look for inspirations. And if your inspiration is right there on the street, who, I mean, I have to grab it, right? And this is kind of an inspiration that will never get out of your hand. I mean, it will be there for the rest of your life because it's
Oh,
India,
man.
right? So potholes will be there forever. And I mean, the inspiration will never get fade.
Oh, man. I'm,
So this
I'm
is
typical
yeah, yeah.
artist style. I'm sensing a lot of sarcasm, clearly no optimism in what you're saying. But I want to talk about a few of these. Could I request the producers to actually go back to the picture which talks about, are you going to an engineering college? And this is a guy who is perhaps going to yeah, this one. And then he says,
Yeah.
when you can learn from life, why go to an engineering college to understand the science of pothole? What's that picture telling us, Ankur?
Okay, so here I wanted to say that you don't need to go to engineering college to learn about the materials, whatever stone or sand you need to make a street. You just sit there beside the road, and after a few washes of rain, you'll get all the materials right there in front of you. So you don't need to open the textbooks to know that. That's what I wanted to tell the people.
You want to tell a lot of things through your heart and through all the doodling that you're doing, Ankur. पर हमें थोड़ा बताइए कि आप खुद क्या पढ़ाई करते हैं? Are you an artist by profession, or this is just something, the troubles of potholes got you thinking about it as art?
So I'm not from an art school. I'm pursuing my master's in English literature. So art was always my passion. Like I used to draw from my childhood. I was that sketchy kid who used to draw in the classroom. That one sketchy guy who used to draw on benches or notebooks, the back. I mean, the back pages of your books, right? You will get that one sketchy guy in every classroom. So I was that guy. So after my 12th, I started. I mean, discovering new art forms because I had 3 months free after board because the results are yet to come. So what should I do? I mean, I don't I wanted not to I mean waste the time, so I wanted to learn something. So that's how I started art, and I'm doing it for I mean doing it professionally right now. And I watch a lot of movies, so you'll get
Right.
so many movies references as well on the podcast.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like those movies are I mean movies reflect our society, like Khatta Mitha. If you see that one, there was a line when अक्षय कुमार was told like अगर बीच में कुछ नहीं डालेंगे तो गाड़ियां तो सीधे पाताल में घुस जाएंगी, right? So this is the same in our area as well, because if I go by the road, I see the trucks or bikes or any vehicles, they just go by the sides. You'll see the middle of the road. Nobody goes by that side because literally there's holes all over the street. I mean, the middle portion, you I mean, people should plant trees there instead of going, I mean, instead of driving their vehicles.
अंकुर, आप जब भी आर्ट करते हैं, when you design something like this, when you do a series of art pieces based on pothole, what is your
Yes.
hope? What is your hope that this art will do? How do you want it to be read and perceived by people, even the authorities?
I just See, I don't want to get political, but I want to reach the contractors who makes these roads, and just those right people who sees this and realizes that they should uh, they should fix these things rather than uh, talking about some other things that are not I mean they're not I mean they should take care of these actual problems. So that was in my mind, like, and let's not poke someone and do it in a fun way. That was my idea.
That's a good idea. You know what my takeaway from this art was? I thought it
Okay.
also signifies that in television studios, in news channels, we often tend to focus only on Delhi and what's happening in Mumbai. But you are somebody who's not even in a metro. You are somebody who's in the outskirts of Kolkata. And this is your day-to-day problem as well. So it also takes the story beyond just the metros. This is what real India issues are. This is what real India faces. So thank you for putting this out there so creatively, so lovingly, with your sense of sarcasm and humor. Last word, if I can give you, if the authorities were listening to you right now, do you have an idea for them?
What I didn't understand what you said.
Do you have a word for the authorities listening to you right now?
Please take steps as soon as you can, because I mean I want to get surprised. I mean, if one day I wake up and see the streets like fine, chakachak, so I will get surprised, and please make me surprised.
Ah, that's a good one. सड़कों को चकाचक कर दीजिए. Make streets so good that Ankur has to go looking for other inspirations and other problems that he can highlight. I think that's the message that we'll take
Yeah,
away
but
from this one.
I think they won't disappoint me, because as an artist, art block एक चीज होता है कि आर्टिस्ट को आइडिया नहीं मिल रहा है, तो आई थिंक वो ऐसा नहीं करेंगे आर्टिस्ट के साथ कि उसको आइडिया की कमी हो.
All right, we leave it there, Ankur. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing all your lovely art pieces with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, on that note, on that lovely doodle note, let's quickly take you through some breaking news coming in at this hour. Just a tweet 3 minutes ago by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, where he has thanked his friend President Putin for his phone call and for sharing insights on the recent meeting with President Trump in Alaska. India has consistently, he says in the tweet, called for a peaceful resolution of the Ukraine conflict and supports all efforts in this regard. I look forward to our continued exchanges in the days to come. That tweet just going in minutes ago by the Prime Minister on his phone call chat with President Putin. All right, all this is happening when that all-important meet is going to happen roughly around 10 o'clock India time in USA, where Donald Trump is expected to meet a lot of European leaders along with President Zelenskyy. And what comes out of that? We all know what happened when the last time those two met. So what will unfold as the meeting goes on today evening? That's the big news at this point on how Prime Minister has already got an update from Russian President Putin. Reporter Pranay in just a bit, but that's the big story coming in at this hour, where Prime Minister has now tweeted to actually express to the world that he has been kept up to date by President Putin about all that is unfolding in the talks that happened first in Alaska and then are going to happen in Washington D.C. tonight. Around 10 o'clock tonight is when we'll be talking about all those details. Pictures would have come in, more details would have trickled in as well. But at the moment, that's the update. Let's cut across to Pranay now, joining us from the newsroom. Pranay, largely a message and the need for the Prime Minister to set out this on record that he's been kept in loop by by Putin about everything that's unfolding on these talks?
So, there are two important points here. One, ahead of his meeting with President Donald Trump in Alaska, President Vladimir Putin rang up Prime Minister Narendra Modi and he briefed him about the Ukraine situation. And there they discussed about bilateral issues as well, and also about the Ukraine-Russia conflict as well. But even after having this, Alaska summit on 15th of August, President Vladimir Putin dialed up Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and Prime Minister again reiterated the point which India has consistently been making, Sonal, here, that this is not an era of war, and this solution can only be reached through dialogue and diplomacy. And if you see, globally, India is the only country which has been consistently maintaining the position that the solution to Russia-Ukraine conflict can only be achieved, can only be attained through dialogue and diplomacy. Though the world has changed their position, from the countries, those who have been funding, those who have been fueling, and those who have been supplying weapons are now holding the conferences of dialogue and diplomacy, and they are holding the meetings. But if you see the position of India, we have consistently maintained our position. Prime Minister Narendra Modi famously said to President Vladimir Putin on Samarkand, in Samarkand, that this is not an era of war, and the solution should be you try to reach through dialogue and diplomacy. Again, Prime Minister Narendra Modi reiterated his position during his phone call with President Vladimir Putin, and also they did discuss about the other regional and global issues as well. President Vladimir Putin briefed Prime Minister Narendra Modi about his Alaska summit, what he has discussed, and what is the idea of Russia in terms of having a solution to Russia-Ukraine conflict, in terms of having a security guarantee, having the red lines of Russia.
All right, so help us understand this. In the big meeting that's going to happen in Washington, D.C. tonight, later tonight, for all of us around 10 o'clock or so is what we had discussed. What are the big expectations there then? Are we hoping, or is it too much of wishful thinking that a resolution will actually come out of this meeting?
We have to see, Sonal, because with President Donald Trump, you can't predict that how he's going to do things. But definitely, one thing is clear, that he is quite committed to have a solution. But solution can be reached with which perspective? Because Ukraine goes to Washington D.C. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelenskyy is already there in D.C. and he goes with a perspective of ensuring the security interest or the security guarantees for Ukraine, as well as he doesn't want to concede any territory of Ukraine. You have to note here, Sonal, that President Zelenskyy is accompanied by other European leaders, including the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, French President Emmanuel Macron, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. They are also there, and for all of the European leaders, there lies the larger concern about the European safety, European security. Because President Donald Trump and President Vladimir Putin, when they met in Alaska, even during that presser or the press statement event, President Putin also underlined the fact that we understand the concerns of Ukraine, having a security guarantee, concerns of Ukraine, and that's why we want a peaceful, we want a long-term peace solution, not the ceasefire. So here remains the bone of contention, that the solution can be reached from which perspective, because Ukraine has its own perspective. President Trump and President Putin, they said that the ball lies in President Zelensky's court. So now, after 6 months, you remember that on February 28, 2025, the infamous or a famous meeting with President Donald Trump and Vladimir Zelenskyy that happened in Oval Office. There, President Zelenskyy had to leave his meeting and his entire US visit midway, and he had to walk out because he was
We
ambushed.
all remember that meeting for sure. That meeting and everything that unfolded, everything that was said on camera, and when the leaders didn't even know that the mics were on, has been recorded and perhaps will be looked at again and again. So all eyes on that meeting. Pranay, thanks so much for joining us. And of course, stay tuned to India Today for that special coverage that starts at 10 o'clock tonight, where we sort of take you through everything that's unfolding in Washington, D.C. But talking about President Putin, we thought we'll bring you another interesting story. Now, it's no secret that Russian President Putin keeps a tight lid on his personal image. But what if he told you that that lid actually extends to his toilet as well? Well, my colleague Sneha Murdani flushes out all the details over here.
What's in your poop? A lot, clearly. Or else Russian President Vladimir Putin wouldn't have not had to carry it back to Russia after taking a dump in Alaska. You heard that right. We aren't making this up. Poop suitcases is what Russian president takes back to Russia each time he travels. Alaska was no different. And this happens all the time. He doesn't just bring security translators and a strong geopolitical agenda, but also his poop suitcase. A specially trained Federal Protection Service unit is responsible for collecting and transporting the evidence. So what can your poop really indicate? Of course, it gives great insights into your gastrointestinal problems. It can also say if you're suffering from cancer or Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis for that matter. It also gives other indications about, for example, the medications that you're taking. If at all you're into chemotherapy or if you are on radioactive iodine used for thyroid cancer treatment, a disease that Vladimir Putin is suspected of suffering from.
So it may sound unusual, but stool can reveal a great deal about a person's health. Modern tests can detect infections, digestive problems, cancers, and even liver or pancreatic diseases. Traces of medicines, chemotherapy, or hormone treatments can also show up in fecal analysis. Such information could disclose if a leader is secretly ill or undergoing treatment.
Putin's public appearances always leads to endless speculations about his health. A backstage video of Putin's meeting with Trump shows intense twitching in his legs. The video led to rumors about Russian president having Parkinson's disease and wearing an exoskeleton. In a country known for tight information control and a president obsessed with image and secrecy, the poop story wouldn't really be the strangest thing we've heard. In New Delhi, Sneha Mordani for India Today TV.
All right, so what's in the poop? Well, ask President Putin that. But let's move on from that story and bring you to the big health focus for us here at 5 Live. Now, today, when we speak about health issues, one of the biggest health concerns of our times is perhaps, without a doubt, obesity. Approximately 40.3% of adults in India are clinically obese. This is a disease that sees no gender divide, no age divide either. Today, obesity and its related issues impact one and all, and even the Prime Minister made it a point to speak about it from the ramparts of Red Fort.
हमारे देश के हर परिवार को चिंता करनी चाहिए। मोटापा हमारे देश के लिए बहुत बड़ा संकट बनता जा रहा है। आने वाले वर्षों में लोग, जो पंडित लोग हैं वो कहते हैं, जो जानकार लोग कहते हैं, हर तीसरे व्यक्ति में एक व्यक्ति मोटापे का शिकार होगा। हमें मोटापे से बचना है, ओबेसिटी से बचना है, और इसलिए मैंने बाकी सब करना पड़ेगा, लेकिन एक छोटा सा सुझाव दिया था कि परिवार तय करे कि जब खाने का तेल घर में आएगा 10% कम ही आएगा और 10% कम ही उपयोग करेंगे, और हम ओबेसिटी के खिलाफ लड़ाई को जीतने की दिशा में हम अपना योगदान देंगे।
All right, so obesity is a real problem, but the good news is there is now a real solution. The biggest pharma revolution of our times, anti-obesity drugs are here. But the question is, who is it for? We so casually say things like, we are fat. But did you know that there are different kinds of fat? Are you clearly clinically fat, or is it just in your head? Perhaps beauty magazines making you feel that way? And importantly, can your kind of fat actually be treated by weight loss drugs? Here's an explainer to give you all the answers. By now, we all know how revolutionary GLP-1 drugs are. What they do, how they help, is not an unknown secret. But what's perhaps most important, and where all the debate lies, is who is it for? Can it work for you? How will it impact your body cells? And critically, are you really that fat that you need weight loss drugs? Well, I have often asked myself these questions. So after speaking with some of India's finest doctors, this is what we found. The first thing to remember, do not jump in to calculate your body mass index or BMI. Its definition is being challenged and questioned as a sole parameter of obesity. Someone, especially Indian body type with high BMI, may have a lot of bone and muscle mass. Someone with moderately high or even normal range BMI may have body fat percentage, meaning BMI does not conclusively define a fatty body. So, what does, you ask? Let's take you to point number 2. A good way to determine fatness, especially in the Indian context, is to calculate the waist to hip ratio. First, measure the waist circumference and position it right above your belly button. Then measure the hip circumference done at the widest part around your hip. Now divide the waist with the hip to get what will be your waist to hip ratio. For South Asian men, it should be sort of under 0.9, and for South Asian women, it should be under 0.8. Let's move on to point number 3, which is the body fat percentage. Now, this is the most clinical way to determine fatness. The Endocrine Society of India has suggested that it should be 25% for men and 30% for women. The catch here, however, is that it's difficult to ascertain your body fat percentage without professional help. But there are several methods to calculate that. For example, there is a DEXA scan. Ask your doctors about it. It's the most accurate clinical method. What the DEXA scan does is uses low-level X-ray to differentiate bone, muscle and fat, typically done in a medical or research setting. There is also the skin fold test. Now, this involves pinching the skin at various locations to measure fat thickness using clappers. Now, this requires skin fold clappers and the experience for consistently and accurately calculated, again to be done under supervision. Let's move on to point number 4, the skinny fat. The skinny fat phenomena. Now, the person with BMI 26 may not appear overweight, but could have body fat as high as 38% concentrated around their belly. BMI works on the assumption that all fat is the same, yet the fat around the arms, around your thighs and arms are not as harmful. Many Indians tend to have skinny fat, that means having thin arms and legs but a big belly, and that is dangerous. Talking about that, let's move on to the next one, which is the visceral fat, the hidden risk everybody warns against. Now, roughly speaking, 90% of the fat in a person is what can be seen on the outside. The remaining 10% is inside the abdomen, called the visceral fat, as it surrounds the internal or the visceral organs, such as liver, kidney. It's the fat you cannot pinch. It's the visceral fat that doctors need to target in the clinic. Visceral or central fat produces toxins, the bad hormones that increase insulin resistance and also suppress insulin secretion. For example, you may not have high BMI, you may not even look overweight, but you might still have high levels of fat around your organs, and that can be extremely dangerous. It also means that you're extremely unfit. And if such a person gets diabetes, you could benefit greatly from GLP-1 drugs. So those are the things to remember. But also importantly, do take into note that India has now entered the big league weight loss drugs market. That means drugs like Vanjaro, Wegovy are out. The demand is real. The drug sales are surging and generics are already on the horizon. But these drugs are not cosmetic solutions. They are evidence-based medical tools designed to tackle chronic metabolic conditions such as obesity, diabetes, particularly when diet and exercise by themselves fall short. Now, these are general guidelines, remember, but before starting your weight loss drugs and medication, do ask yourself these 5 questions that we said, but also the following to your doctor. You must consult an endocrinologist for obesity specialty. Also determine your body type, amount of body fat, not just your weight or BMI. Discuss your lifestyle, your dietary habits, and your metabolic history with your doctor. Take informed decision and make it the right choice. All right, so that's everything you need to know. But since we got all that information, I had to bring on the program somebody who's perhaps the last word when it comes to weight loss medication in the country. Dr. Amrish Mittal is here with us in the studio. Thank you so much for joining us, Doc. A lot of information that you saw there in the explainer actually comes out from his book that he has written, which is very well researched in the Indian context of GLP-1 drugs. Before I start, Dr. Mittal, can I ask you number one question?
Yes.
How many fit, clinically not obese or fat people are walking into your clinics today and asking for weight loss drugs?
That's a great question to start off, Sonal. There are two aspects to this. We certainly have people who don't fit the category, for using drugs, who are requesting for these drugs, who are not in the BMI zone or in an unhealthy zone where they require them, but they want to do it purely for cosmetic reasons, a couple of kilos here and there for a wedding.
There's a
or
beach
a
wedding
function.
coming
Yes,
up.
yes.
Or there's a photo shoot and I need to look perfect.
Yes. So those, definitely, those are there. But it's very interesting, on the same day, in the same clinic, we see people on the other side. People who have a BMI of 33, maybe they are 95, 100 kilograms. But I don't want to lose weight. My diabetes is controlled, everything is okay. And the person says, but I've always been like this. And the partner will say, of course, he's always been. Doctor, weight is not a concern for us. So it's very interesting how the human mind and perception is. On the same day, we see people who are at 26 BMI or even 25 BMI wanting to become slimmer. A 52 kilogram lady who wants to become 48. And then we have these people who are like clearly overweight and suffering because of that. But because the numbers look okay, the sugars look okay, blood pressure looks okay, they say, we don't want to lose weight. Is it really important?
खाते पीते घर के लगते हैं.
खाते पीते घर के लगते हैं.
हम ऐसे ही हैं.
But especially the partner also says, but he's always been like this. I said, what was he when you got married? No, that is different, of course. Then he was very different.
Got it. So it's a double whammy then.
Yes.
There are those who are going after this miracle drug, as many are calling it, who don't need it. But those perhaps who this is meant for are staying away. What can be done then to ensure that the right kind of people come in? I ask this question because now these drugs are becoming way more cheaper. They currently cost about 30,000 a month. In just about a year's time, by 26, once the generics sort of come in and pills sort of come in, they will come down to just about 3,000 a month. When we look at a scenario like that, how will you ensure that the right usage actually happens?
I think that's important. Firstly, the cost is already down because they're both marketed here. So it's still expensive, of course, but they are between 13 and 20,000 a month, typically. So that's one. They're not 30 anymore. So that is one. The second is that this is exactly what we're supposed to do, provide the right information to people. Let people know that if you're overweight, if you're in the obese zone, especially if you have comorbidities like diabetes or heart disease or even kidney disease, you really do need to lose weight because that really matters in your long-term outcomes. So let me give you an example. If you lose weight, you're reducing your risk of developing diabetes. If you have diabetes, you're improving your diabetes control. And if you're not well controlled, you get better control and you certainly reduce your risk of complications because of diabetes. So those are the benefits. The challenge is, as you said, that people who don't really require the medication are asking for it, and there it requires regulation. It requires the right kind of doctors, and I'm so glad you said that you should go to a specialist or an endocrinologist because, truly speaking, you need someone who can advise you on the pros and cons properly and not just prescribe the drug to please you. I think that's also very important. So like with every drug, when used for the right person, they are exceedingly useful. They're exceedingly helpful. But if they are used for the wrong person, they can have side effects. And one quick line I'll add here. The problem is that if everyone is using them, those who don't need them, where they're not indicated, if they are using them and then they get side effects, the drug gets a bad name. And it's publicized in the media. And then those who need them, they stay away. Oh, I don't want to take that drug because I've heard it does this and that. That is the challenge.
I'm so glad you brought in the issue of side effects because every day without a fail, I see posts by nutritionists these days. People who are advocates of good gut health talking about what long-term impact of these weight loss drugs, GLP-1 drugs, can have on your liver, on your kidney. On the same day, I also see a lot of reports on the miracles this drug can really do. So one is really conflicted on this. What is the right approach to take on these drugs?
Well, that's the reason for writing this book. The reason is that there is so much misinformation out there, both ways, that we need to be very careful. These drugs are undoubtedly a huge scientific advance. No one can take that away. They have changed the way we look at weight, we look at diabetes, we look at heart disease, we look at kidney complications and even liver. So these drugs are actually very beneficial to our organs. I mean, clearly the risk of heart attacks, for example, or cardiovascular events comes down by more than 20%.
Yeah.
The risk of fatty liver, I mean, you just squeeze out the fat from the liver. You know, these drugs do that. Progression of kidney disease. So there are huge benefits. But there are possible side effects. There is no drug developed ever that doesn't have side effects. Even the daily aspirin that you take could have potential side effects.
Yes.
But those side effects have to be monitored. You have to be prepared. One are the common daily side effects, which are the gastrointestinal side effects. Some reflux, some nausea. Some people hate it. Some people don't even notice it. Even vomiting sometimes. Some people get constipation and diarrhea. But the good part is these are mostly in the initial stages and they wane off. Over a few weeks, they gradually decline.
So I think
and
the
patients are
key
comfortable.
here is that this is not a drug that can be self-prescribed. The key here is you need to know when to start, how much to have, and importantly, when to stop. And if those are not followed, you could go on the wrong path. So extremely important that if you are even considering, first go back and save the video, understand if you're fat or not, and only then get on this, and then go meet an endocrinologist and let them take the informed choice on whether or not they are meant for you. So much more can be spoken about this, and Dr. Amrish Mittal's book is also out. You can also read that out to get more information. Thank you so much, Doc, for joining us and taking us through all those lovely details.